Thomas. To date, it happened. And the question is, what does it convey to us? What does it pertain to us? Because whatever used to verbrengen, nearly every verbrengen, unless it was something that was start off explaining the specialty of the day. Why is the day special? Why? What can we do with this day and so on and so on. In other words, time is not just something that passes. Time is one of the things that was created. Space and time. Zman and Mokum. The two things which were created. Mokum, we know that this table is here, this table there, two separate things. Time, we try to believe sometimes that it's all one thing that just keeps going along. I'm sure you're all acquainted with the old type of movies, movie films. Today we have videos and things, but once there used to be, I remember in my day, it was 60 millimeter, 8 millimeter movies, you remember? And we went to the RKO, or the MGM movie house, and we saw a beautiful movie, everything was moving and was going and so on and so on. The truth was, nothing was moving. There was so many small pictures one coming after the other in quick succession, that it's seen as if it was moving. This is the same thing with time. Time is not something that just continues. Time is each second is a thing for itself. And if we talk about seconds, surely each day is an entity for itself. And I've always brought this out, that every day has its special peculiarity, speciality, and we can see what the importance of that day is from what happened. Because whatever everything that happened once, why is Yom Kippur the day that HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgives our transgressions? Very simply because on that day, the first time when Shalom said, Salachti Kivarecha. So we're basing that in this segment of time is a time of slicha, time of forgiveness, and therefore Yom Kippur has received that koyach and that force. So when we talk about Gimel Tammuz, we have to try to understand what is it all about, one. And secondly, the most important thing is what does it teach us, or not teach, but try to tell us what we have to do. Because a day, as I said before, is an entity which is different than any other. In nature, we know very simply in the agricultural world, you ask any farmer, they'll tell you very clearly that this and this day you have to plant, this and this day you have to do this, and this and this day, every year the same thing. Why? Because this day has this peculiarity, this day has this, it's force, nature that's able to do whatever it has to do, and we know that days are not just things, time which just flows from one to the other. And each day has a significance. And we're able to use that day for its maximum if we do the right thing on that day. In other words, if the farmer knows that the 21st of June, let's say, he has to plow, and the 10th of July he has to seed, and so forth. So on that day, that day will give that whatever grows will grow in the right way. This is a very simple idea which we have to try to understand, because time is not something which is just infinite and just keeps on going. Time is very, very deliberate and very, very special in every moment. And we have to be able to live with the time. Leben mit der Zeit. To be able to live, not just to exist. I'll tell you a little story, which I'll tell a lot of stories, don't worry about it. I'm not going to make any speeches here, and I will do my spiel, will take care of all that business. I'm just trying not to bore you to we also just a few years ago, Leno had to have a little bit of an operation, and I had a doctor who was very, very sympathetic doctor, and he was very knowledgeable, but a very smart person. And he told me after the operation, everything was fine, good, but now to be able to realize your convalescence, you have to do a lot of walking. That's more or less modern medicine runs in this way that they take the patient after a day or two or get him out of bed. They used to keep him in bed for a month. Nowadays, it's a whole philosophy, the whole psychology changed. Okay, so this was towards the winter vacation. So we figured we'll take the winter vacation and we'll go down to Gurarye. You know what? Gurarye. You know what the Riviera is? Everybody knows. The Riviera is in France, and it continues the shore of the Mediterranean to the port of Genoa. You heard of it? Nobody uses ports, everybody uses airports. But anyway, this is the port of Genoa. This area on the Mediterranean is a very, very beautiful area, and climate is very nice and so forth. But the main thing is they have a lot of very cheap single room apartments. So what would you look for? Something cheap, of course. So we went there. We had a little apartment, myself and my wife, and we're there. Nope, but the doctor said we have to walk. Okay. In the morning, my wife is the type of general. They were not only my general, some of the problems and incorporated stuff. My wife is the type that's general. In the morning, let's go, gotta walk. After lunch, let's go, gotta walk. Night, gotta walk. They helped me. I'm very thankful to her. But there's one point that I always tell the point of the story, not me, something altogether different. Over there, that whole area, since they have these small parties and they're very cheap, so all the older people who are in retirement, I've heard of it. In Italy, that's the main part of life, retirement. You work your whole life for what? So you're able to retire and do nothing. That's the toughest of the person, to do nothing. That's what it is, believe me. And it's a law. You are not allowed to work. If you go to work after you retire, you lose the retirement benefit. That you go working, you're finished. Right. So they have all these older people, but older people doesn't mean old. Because in Italy, the law is at 65 in retirement. 65, the person is still in the prime of his life and he can still do and so on. But, and you have all these people coming there, leaving Milan, leaving Rome, leaving Florence, whatever, all the cities. They come there, take a little apartment with these things. They get the money from the government. Every month you get a check or cash, whatever it is. You get it. It's horrific. Somebody looks at it in such a way, he sees a very positive attitude. Every morning, walking, evening, walking. They have a beautiful boardwalk on the ocean. Beautiful. They fixed it up for these retired people. And they have the boardwalk there. And right away in the morning, you see all these elderly people coming there, playing cards, playing dominoes, talking, and so on and so on. Act that I saw continuously, which hit me so hard that I decided I'm going to give it over there. Because this is mamish what we're talking about. They're playing cards and so on, but talking about nothing about the politics, Italian politics. I'm sure you heard about Italian politics. It's the biggest joke in the world. But anyways, every few minutes, I saw a movement by each and every one. I hope you understand without me having to explain. These people wait for time to pass. They were not living, I can call it existing. This is life. This point is the difference, the way we look at time and the way time is looked at by other people. Other people, time has to pass. That's it. I try to enjoy it as much as I can. That's what they were doing. The time is passing. They were enjoying it. By us, there's a little story I'd like to tell you. It's altogether different movie. Many years ago, I'm having a love by the Persian community in Milan. And one year I happened to be in New York, and I came to Queens. They asked me to come in the Yom HaShoah. Right here was the Yom HaShoah. They asked me to come. Holocaust, right? Yeah, Holocaust. All over the world it's recognized and the celebrations, with remembrances and so forth. Okay. I came there, and they had a person speaking, one who went through the camps. I remember it was Bergen-Belsen, it was Auschwitz, so one of the camps he went through. And since the Persian community involved directly in the war, so they didn't really understand, they didn't really realize what was going on, and they asked them to come, give a little bit of a explanation, but to tell a little bit how, what went on. So people sitting there, a lot of people were sitting there, the historian was a very, very good speaker also, and he was crying and so forth. At the end, he said something which I tried to give out to everyone, because it's something which is also so important, let's say. He said, there are many religions in the world. What is the point of religion? What is the point? What is the reason someone wants to be religious? All religions point to one end, to one realization, to feel good. They build these big churches, you go in, and you sit down, quiet, and they're nice. And when they tell you that you're going to have, the Muslims are going to, if you kill people, you're going to have whatever it is in the world to come, and so on and so on, it makes you feel good. Every religion, the point, the end of every religion is to make the person feel good. He says, I saw in the camps that by us, the point is not to feel good, but to be good. When I saw people giving the last piece of bread to another person, who started helping another person who didn't have the strength to do his work, and so forth and so on, all these little acts of kindness, acts of serious effort, and so forth and so on, I understood. But the Jewish, not religion, we don't have a religion. We have a Jewish way of life. And this is the difference, to be good. To your whole life, to do things just to do good things, not to feel good. Nobody in the American Constitution, in the preamble, I'm sure you all know how all men are created equal and everyone has the right to life, liberty, and pursue happiness. Nobody guarantees you happiness. Life and liberty, you're guaranteed. Nobody's allowed to kill you. Nobody's allowed to take away your liberty. But happiness, nobody guarantees you happiness. Happiness is something that you have to pursue. And came along the religions, and they show happiness. But it's a false happiness. It's something which is just blown up, just made up. It's not really a true feeling of happiness. Where's the real happiness? And this is where the Torah comes in, and this is where Gimel Tammuz comes in. The real happiness is to be good. Be good means what? To daven 100%. Usually, the person who davens, after he feels davening, or finishes davening, he feels, I daven. After learning, you sit down and you learn, and you learn something new, and you understand the secret, you understand something, you feel so good. That's not the point, that's the means. The end is after davening, and after learning, how are you going to treat another person? How are you going to act with your companion, with another Jew, with another person? That's the point. We have a set of dinners. You know, we are very, very, we try to save money. And we have a question here which is very hard to understand. Because Baruch Hu gave us 10 commandments. Right? 10. But these 10 commandments put on two luchos. Why did he have to do two luchos? He couldn't fit it all on one. How much is in the second luach? First luach, hundreds of words. And the second luach, what do you have? Signa, 2 words. The last one, like Sachmoid, adds a couple of words there. He couldn't fit it onto the first luach. Why do you have to put it on the second luach? And Moshe Rabbeinu had to come down carrying 2 luchos. Could have had one and finished. No problem. But there are 2 aspects of being good. There's the first aspect, which is the first 5 commandments. But that has nothing to do with being good. That is the means to be able to come to the end of the second 5 commandments. What's a shot? Because the Prophet doesn't need our sympathy, he doesn't need our understanding, and he doesn't give up if we believe that I'm sure he'll be very happy. He doesn't care if I do believe, don't believe. I hope I'm not making a mistake here, but I think he can get along very well without us. So why is the Melech Hashem? Why the Yelecha? Why Kavod Zericha? Choseh Shabbos? What does he care if I write on Shabbos? I'm sure it doesn't matter. What does he care? Why does he tell me not to write? Why does he tell me these first 5 commandments? Very simple. I'm sure I'll tell you a name now. There won't be anyone here who hadn't heard this name and surely read the book. Anybody here of a certain person by the name of Robin Hood? Yeah. You heard about Robin Hood? Yeah. Can I ask a very stupid question? How do you look at this figurehead of Robin Hood? In a good way or a bad way? How is it taught to the children? How does the teacher say, go read this book? Why? Learn from it. What are you learning from it? You want it to be bad? You want it to be good.
Be good. Still from the rich and gifts.
Do you know what they signal the translation? Not steal. Is it a difference of stealing from the poor or stealing from the rich?
No.
But the world, and this is taught to all children in all languages, takes this figurehead of a crook and they make out of it a saint. Loi signal. You want to help the poor? Go work. Go to the rich. Convince them. Do whatever you want. But to go and steal, this is why we have to have the first 5 commandments. The first 5 divras are to teach us that the last 5 divras, there's no exceptions. I'll give you another little example. A person is married, and he's a bad guy. His poor wife, every day he beats her up, doesn't give her any money. He curses her, and the poor woman is suffering. She's married to this person. Comes along, very noble person, goes over to the wife, said, Sarah, come on, come with me. I'll take care of you, and so forth and so on. To the world, he's doing a beautiful thing. He's taking a poor woman and giving her consolation, giving her love. However, Loi Sinov, the woman's married. If we start making our decisions, which is good, which is bad, we don't know where it's going to end. The kamikazes by the Muslims, they made their decision that killing is good. Loi Sibza, you're not allowed to kill. Up to the point that a Sanhedrin, the Mishnah in Sanhedrin tells us that if Sanhedrin wants 7 or 70 years condemned the person to death was called a Sanhedrin of killers. They see it so. Kill? I understand it differently. He understands. Not nobody's business. I steal from the rich because I have to give the poor. The means justify the end. I'm going to commit adultery. The means will justify the end. The end will justify the means. This is what the Chayla, what means to be good. Being good the way the Rebbe wants. Communism. So beautiful article about communism. Discussing if communism was something positive or negative. In the Chayla, communism is something very positive. Everybody alike. No rich, no poor. Everybody shares. It's the best type of life. You don't have any worries. Everybody works together. And all of a sudden, what happened? Communism. It just disappeared. Why? Because the Torah tells us, yes, to help another person is very important. But you have to decide. You can't be forced to do it. Nobody. There is a din that they forced people to pay for the expenses of the city and things like that, or that give tzedakah when it's necessary, so on and so on. But to say that I am the one who's going to decide what you're going to do, where is the free choice? Tell you about this, we have to give tzedakah. But there has to be my free choice, that I take my money and I give it. And that's what stuff is. The world understood that this is not what's going on. Even though communism fell apart, but doing good deeds is still very, very relevant in the world. People are giving money to poor people and so on and so on. Because this is what the Torah is telling us. So, in a certain way, we have to understand our human Thomas. I think we would say Chaim is the living and
Chaim is wrong.
know what to do. It becomes Gimel Tammuz. So the point of Gimel Tammuz is that you should decide one of these points. L'leches b'drachav. To go his ways. Tzadikim daimim lebayram. Tzadikim are like to their Creator. And since it says in the Dovka Boy, a person has to be one by the Shalom. So the Gemara asks, how could you be one with the Shalom? How can you become one with such a great thing? So the Gemara answers, the lechs v'drachav. Go his ways. Mahu chanun, afatotei chanun. Mahu rachum, afatotei rachum. He has these qualities. You try to do these qualities, and in this way you become one with the Rebbeinu Shalom. When it comes to Gimel Tammuz, we all want to become one with the Rebbe. This is kashrus, this kesher, this binding, this tzaddik, it's what it's all about. Very simply, everybody, at least hopefully, believes that he has a soul, a neshama. And neshama is not something which is limited. The example of a neshama, today we have a beautiful example, a very simple example, is the wire that runs in a wall, which is called an electric current. Generator sends current into all the different wires in all different houses. What happens? They stick the plug in. Socket. I haven't used that word for a couple of years. There's a socket, and even this socket, sometimes you can put in a triple or a plug. And you put in all these types of plugs. Refrigerator, heating, machine, computer, everything. I put it all into the socket. What happens? The computer works like the computer. Refrigerator makes cold. The heating element, warm. It all comes from this one current, from this same wire. What happens? What happens? The wire is there. There's no difference. This is what a neshama is. A neshama clothes, which a rebbe, a tzaddik hadoy, the nasir hadoy, is a neshama which is a clothing, I would say, an inclusive neshama, has all the different neshamas in it, and all you have to do is just, you're the plug, you have to just put your plug into the socket, and you receive. How do you know if this electric current is for you? In the States, it's 220. In Europe, in the States, 110, I'm sorry. In Europe, it's 220. Some places, 380. How do you know which is the right current to use? So the Rebbeinu comes along, and a little bit we have to stop believing that he's running the show. We're trying to take over his job, but we're not very successful. We know that the main part of the person comes along and he falls into, I'm using the word falls into because everybody feels I just fell into it, into a certain element. And it could be a bad element, it could be a good element. So there you have the free will. You have to decide. But if it's a good element, it's a positive current, so this is the current that you're receiving from. So your neshama is receiving from this neshama clothes. If your neshama is receiving from this neshama clothes, all you have to do is pull out the plug and finish. Chas v'chalei, it's not a question of physical death. But if you pull out the plug, the chayis, the life, the praise that you are getting through this neshama clothes will stop. But if you're connected, you keep the plug connected, you continue to receive it, and believe me, the current from the generator is very, very strong. And it never stops. And it's a question, not only doesn't it ever stop, but it's a current, which I'm going to ask you a very silly question. Let's see if anybody knows the answer. If you have a flood, how many wires do you have going in?
30.
You have 3, which is ground, but the minimum is 2. Excuse me, at the sink when you want to get water, how many pipes do you have? 1 or 2? 1. And just cold water, okay? Just 1. You have 1. I'm asking a very silly question. I'm sure you all learn science, you learn physics. Why? Water is enough 1 pipe. Get the water. Electricity, you have to have 2 wires. What are these 2 wires? One is positive. What is the positive and the negative? If the wire is cut, any current going through? No. But the positive is the one that's bringing the current from the generator. If I cut the negative, will my light still be lit?
No, because that's complete circuit.
That's the answer. You have to complete the circuit. I'm sure I don't have to go into deep explanation. And the Shema is the Ratzah B'Shov. There's the positive and the negative. And Hasv Chalila, there should be any interruption, either coming or going, whichever way it is. Hasv Chalila, the connection is lost. So therefore, it comes to Gibul Tammuz, and the Ben Shalom, for some crazy reason, made us fall into this path, which is called Chabad, which is called Chabad. And we're here and we think to ourselves, what to do? And I asked the same question. I asked the question 65 years ago. You might be asking today. And I asked myself, why? And I started to understand why. When it came to Tafshin Yud, and the Rebbe came along and started a way of dealing with us young American boys. I'm sure you understand what an American boy is. I was not born in Russia. I was born in Austria. As a little kid, I came to the States. And I was a plain American boy. And the Rebbe took us, each and every one of us, individually, and treated us as his own children. He didn't treat us like a figurehead and treating us from one of the teachers of one of us. And like the famous mimer that Hassan say when they have their marriage, there's a mashal there that Physiker brings, that is a mashpia and a mushka. The mashpia is the one who gives, and the one who receives. The mashpia, when he wants to give, there are 2 ways of giving. Either the mata, on top, pulls him up, or it's another way. This is the way of parents. If they want to lift up a child, they don't hold the child and drag him up with their hands. They bend down, and they lift him up. This is what they did to each and every one of us, individually, with the most greatest care and attention and love. Every little dot, every little detail, as we were growing up, as we were getting closer and closer, we followed. And every point that ever was careful that this person should be here to do this and do that and so forth and so on. We used to write first years in the 50s, any little stupid thing, we used to write it on. Ask me. Most stupidest things. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I go on vacation? Should I go on vacation? Should I take a trip? Should I take a trip? When I had to get my driver's license, I wrote it. It's a problem. Should I get a driver's license? Of course, I got a positive answer with the bracha. And Baruch Hashem, I didn't have accidents yet, Baruch Hashem. I had to keep on going. But what did it show? That I had what to do. every second of the Rebbe was precious. And we see from the hundreds of Sfarim that came out, boy, the Rebbe was living, in what world he was living. He took his time to take little kids like us and take us and make mention. I'm sure you know. I'm not saying I became a mensch, but he tried his best. Why? Because that is true. In fact, the Rebbe once was asked by a little child. The child came to visit with the parents, came into the house on President Street. And the child looks around and says, "Where are the children?" She was looking for another child to play with. And the Rebbe answers her, "These are all my children." And it's not just a figurative word. It was that way. The Rebbe and the Rebbe's they gave their lives for the twin, for the people who were connected to them. They became their children. Incident. I mean, like things that happened. I can't tell you now. Stories that are all printed. You can see, you can read, you can see everything. But stories that happened to me. I'm not printing them, but things that I've ever acted towards. When I was a boss, so we're learning 770, and those years, 770 was the big 770 was today, and the tables and chairs weren't made out of iron like they are today. I'm sure you saw how they made irons and so on and so on. Tables and chairs, not even like this. Thank question. I was a little bit good in carpentry, and the shooter at the mental get a Fabrengen, he used to come to me and says, "Leisha, there's in Yiddish, there's a bench over here that's a little broken, maybe you could fix it." I used to ask one of the Bachram to bring me food from Bedford and Dean, because there was no kitchen in 770. And I used to be, after Myrick at 7 o'clock, between 7 and 8 there was a pause, a break. Hello? כן. תוכל, אני באמצע עכשיו פה בעוד תמימים, אני אוכל אליך מתי שאני אגמור, אוקיי? Yesterday he sat in the car 2 hours late. Anyways, what was I up to?
So he sent you to fix the bench. They send you food.
They used to bring me food, and I used to go down 770, and then next door, right next to 770, there's a piece that was built out like 770. Then there's the apartment in the corner. So this little piece, what was there? There used to be a driveway, be a yard. Of course, on the right, the wall, the Meirik wall, there used to be a garage, which was transformed into the library, but the driveway remained. And over there, when upstairs, the zal upstairs became a little bit too small, so that we built a stallage, a tent. And the Rebbe used to bring there. So I used to take these benches and these chairs, I used to take them downstairs, take my hammer and my saw, nails, and start banging and working. This was during the winter months, so I'm sure everybody's sitting here without jackets. I'm with a jacket. We'd be working, if I'd be working, I'm sure I would take off my jacket to do work. I mean, and I'm standing there, banging nails, and all of a sudden, the curtain, whatever it was, opens up, and I'm standing there. Guess. And I'm standing there. I get scared, and with a beautiful smile. He asked me this question. I'll translate it into Chinese. Why aren't you wearing a jacket? Is that a question of whatever? Is that a question of the father? This is how we grow up. Wasn't the question that was trying to teach us and to enforce him? Wherever it took us, he lowered himself down. And he brought us to the highest thing that we were capable of being able to do, and even higher. We didn't understand. Nobody understood. How could you do such a thing? I said, you can do it, prove it. And he was there, not just to tell you, but to give you every attention and every help that you need. And chas v'chalila, never a bad word. We did things that Rabbi calls on Mekerslichas. Mekerslichas, you go out, you have to sell Sfarim, you have to come back with a lot of money and so on and so on. Came back with, in those days, 1952, came back with a deficit of, I think it was something like $2,000, $3,000 trips and this and that. Walked to Reb Chadikov and showed him that he went white. Did we get a reprimand? Somebody screaming at us, somebody to tell. And this is how every step of the Lubavitch was built up from Tafshin Yud. Before, of course, the Rebbe said it's all the koich of the previous Rebbe. But the previous Rebbe came to the United States and he planted. What he planted is like when a person takes seeds and puts them to the ground. You don't see anything. The growth of these seeds that the previous Rebbe put in, the Rebbe took it and made a beautiful garden out of it. The garden that today, I went to the Lubavitch Yeshiva. I graduated high school in 1951. Okay? We have in our class Lubavitch Yeshiva. That was the only one in the world. Because all the other Lubavitch Yeshivas were in Russia, hidden away in cellars and attics and so forth and so on. We had exactly in my class, and I have a picture of the graduation, we had exactly, not even a minion. There were 9 floors. That was Lubavitch. Today, every age group in Lubavitch today, how much? This Rebbe, with his love, with his parenting, the way he took each and every one of us. We used to write in the most stupidest things. You didn't get an answer, impossible. Every pedik, every note that was written in, asking for advice, asking for a brach, whatever it is, an answer. It took the Rebbe maybe a couple of seconds. But when I was working in the American Young Chinuch, I was working in the mosquito, in the secretariat. It was all one office, 770, the office on the right as you come in, first office. And we were working then, and every day we used to take into the mail, not packages, letters, packs like this, every single day. It was unbelievable. And the Rebbe answered. Of course, there was a Torah, a precedent, which were answered first, which were answered later. But a letter should not receive an answer. And if it did not receive an answer, there was a reason for it. And when the answer came months later, you understood why the answer came months later, because on that day when the answer came, it was relevant, the answer. There's thousands of stories like this that did not answer, and sometimes the Rebbe did answer, and it was late in the post, and it came in the mail, and it came late, and came on the day that the thing was relevant, that there was something to do about it. So, when it comes to Gimel Tammuz, I personally, and all those in my age group, we understood a very simple thing. We tried. I'm not saying we did, but we tried our best. Maybe not our best, but we tried anyways. To make up stories. We tried a little bit. Like Shiva used to say, Costello used to say, Avdishinke. A little bit. We tried a little bit to do what they wanted. But where did we see what they wanted? He didn't tell us. He said, for us, they don't okay. Okay? We're living in Brooklyn. Anybody here from Brooklyn? Okay. What's west of 770. No, which area of Brooklyn is west of 770? What's east of 770? Brownsville, East New York. Yeah.
Long Island.
We didn't need that. What's north? Williamsburg. What's south? Canarsie. Come on. At least Brooklyn geography. Brooklyn geography. Forget it. So when the letter came out, okay, what's available there? What did we think? Oh, we're going to go to 4 or 5, we're going to go to East Oakland, Brownsville, the big sections, and maybe we'll go to Williamsburg also, Sattler, try to serve, so on and so on. To dream that whatever it meant was world, Baratzda, Yom, okay, the whole globe, the whole earth. You're a handful. The whole 770 is as big as this room. And we had, it was packed with stuff, we didn't have where to sit. We had 2 seats, no problem. I remember even before Tafshin Yud, in the Zal upstairs, as a kid, I had a chair to sit on, Rosh Hashanah Yom. The Zal upstairs is very big, right? I don't think as big as this. But that was Lubavitch. And the Rebbe was taking the world in his hands with this bunch of American boys. This was before Russian boys came yet, because the Russian came in the days with Gimel, with Dalit. You couldn't understand. But this is how the Rebbe heard, this is what the Rebbe did. He showed that it could be done. That it's not a question of because it has to be done and it will be done. So this is what Giving comes is Lolechas B'dracha. To get out of our small-mindedness, let's put it that way. To say, no, I can't. A businessman, let's look at Hasidus, religion, as a business. Somebody opens up a store. What is his goal? To earn $100 a day? $100 he's going to open a store and work crazy. His idea is to earn thousands of dollars. And when further he's going to more stores. His goal is millions. But where do you start? With the dime savings bank on Eastern Parkway, had a little sign outside, trying to push the people to save money. A trip of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Of course, if you don't take the first step, you're not going to get there. But what goal are you going to put? You want a goal of $100 or $1 million? You might not hit $1 million. But a lot of fun trying to get there. Surely you get more than 100 because your goals are much higher. And this is what the Rebbe took us in, showed us not to be small-minded, to think big. And you think big, so the small things automatically come to you. You're able to do the small thing. Or if you're going to think small, I'm going to do a little bit. Why should I do a little bit? Is that business? Is it wrong? It's crazy. It's Italian maybe, but it's not Jewish. But this is what Gimel comes as. This is one of the points that I'd like to bring up. We have to start thinking big in our private life, about ourselves. Where do I want to get to? And then also, what I'm speaking a bit later, about the most important thing, to be good, the second 5 commandments, what we have to do in what Chaim will tomorrow, I can help him in any way, how can I go to him? This is the way Rebbe lives his life, and this is what we have to do. Very simple to do what we have to do. What we have to do, we're told to do. So this school had a test, you memorized the subjects, you got 190, whatever, and happy, you came home, showed mommy, look, I'm beautiful report card. This is not what we're here. We have a whole different attitude to what we have to do. We have to do, to find and help everyone in his way. Those letters, everyone was different from the other. You could imagine there were thousands of letters that each one was different. Whatever took each letter, his time, a few hours that he got to sleep. There was a doctor living on New York Avenue, across the street from the Rebbe's apartment, in the apartment building on President of New York. So he walked in the street one day, he comes out, he says, the rabbi lives upstairs on the 4th floor. It's like I ever sleep. I come home sometimes from an emergency visit at 4 o'clock in the morning, lights on. Sometimes I'm called in the middle of the night for an emergency visit, and the lights on. When does he sleep? This we're talking about in the years when the Rebbe was still in the apartment. And this is what we have to try to understand. We're not here to enjoy ourselves. If you want to enjoy yourself, very easy. Plenty of resort areas. You go swimming, you go to the beach, you go to the mountain, you go skiing, you enjoy yourself. We have a different aim in life. And you're going to say, why do you do it? Because your plug is plugged into this current. Why? Don't ask questions. He's running the show. He brings it. It's like, I don't know why I'm here, but I happen to be here. There's no such thing as happening. There's no such thing as mikra, which happens. So we have to understand we have an aim and a tafkid. We have to do without any ifs, buts, and what. It just has to be done because this is what we're living for. If we get this to our thick skulls, I can assure you that your lives will be lives of such pleasantness, of such good feeling. There'll be troubles. Everybody has troubles. The difference is there are troubles which a person feels that it's worth having this trouble. When you build a yeshiva, and there are troubles, there are money problems, especially now with the stupid made-up crisis. So, but when you walk into the yeshiva, sure, you're going to have to pay the bills, but you see all the bachrim, all the girls sitting and learning. So it's trouble, of course, but you're living a full life. Everybody else is having the same troubles, but they're just existing and trying to keep their head above water. And the Rebbe promised that all these troubles are on his achayis, his responsibility, and Baruch Hashem, we see all over the world. All over the world. There is this crisis. Not one of the shluchim left his position. Not one of the thousands of shluchim closed up shop and said, I can't do it. Explain, I can't. But if there's somebody who is attached to that current is still there. There's no question about it. And I was asked if you have any questions. I have a few minutes of questions and answers. But you can ask the questions. I don't guarantee I'll be able to answer the exercise.
Did you see you drove around the home? I know you said you drove around the home.
Many times. I was working for him. I had my car, 1955 Ford.
Is that the white car?
I got it from the Port Authority. They had a whole roof where they had the lamp to light. I closed it up. And when I was sleeping or whatever, so I had my car there. That's what many times.
Did you call? How do you know? You were waiting for him?
I I was working in Americans.
Says that.
No question.
But tell one story, no question.
Yeah. Did anybody ever ask you anything like from the cars?
I didn't even open my mouth. The only thing that I can tell all the time, for about 2 years, and I did many, many different things. Everything that I did for the Rebbe. I opened the door for him. I drove him. I brought him the letters from the calico press. There was a tray, two trays of the cabinet. One was full of things. It was not in and one out. So the letters that came to the Rebbe, we put into the inbox, and the answers was in the outbox. Those letters I never looked at, I never opened up. Private business, and it wasn't my job. But a lot of times I was sitting in the office for the afternoons, and the intercom buzzed, translated to Chinese. Ringing, is there any letters for me in my tray? That's for my intestine. So I took whatever it was, knocked on the door, and didn't give it to me. There wasn't one time, the slightest thing that I did for the Rebbe, that the Rebbe did say, Adank, thank you. It's a very simple thing, very easy. We forget it. We forget that the Rebbe with this Adank, thank you, he lifted you up. He showed you that what you did for him was something important. Thank you. When a mother asks the child, gives the child to eat, and the child takes and says, say thank you. Say please, say thank you. She needs it. The mother wants to give more than the child wants to receive. The calf, more than the calf wants to suck from the cow wants to give to herself. So his mother says, say thank you. She needs this thank you. The mother wants to feel, understand that what you do for the child should understand that it's something important. When the Rebbe answered, whatever you did, you opened up the door. Just didn't walk through. He said, Adam. He wanted to show that what you did for him was something important. This is what happened. The Rebbe lifted us up. He took us from this most simple things. He showed us how to live. He showed us how that was in Camp Buddha in the early 50s. Earning director. There was a head counselor there, Rabbi Isby. Okay? And he was the son-in-law of Rabbi Kowalski. I don't know if you heard of him. One of the Chassidim in those times used to bring him every Shavuos. He used to bring to every Purim. Big chest of fruit. He used to bring to the and beautiful. Anyway, this Rabbi Isby, he wasn't a Chassid. And he lived in the apartment house where Rabbi Isby, the president. He lived on the fourth floor, he was on the second floor, whatever. One day he comes over and he says, I'm not a Chassid, but the Rebbe had the greatest respect. Thank you, I believe you. But why? He says, very simple. Sometimes we meet at the front door. The apartment building, upstairs at the front door. Sometimes we meet, and the Rebbe's in front of me. He sees me in back. There wasn't a time when he didn't hold the door until I walked out. Stupid thing. What's the cost? You see somebody coming in back of you. You run through the door slides in his face. Big deal. This is what they're going to show us how to do. For the other person, the showing that he's important, they never waited for him. His time was precious. He waited till he came, he held the door. This is what we have to learn. Of course, we're going to learn in Sikhs, we have to, that's all brain work. We have to live. Living as a human being with all human necessities, living with it. That is how we have to live. They didn't teach us that. He didn't tell us, do like this or do like that. He never made a speech about it. He never made a sikh about it. You have to hold somebody's door or you have to say thank you for that. But this he showed the Duke Muhammad. He showed you the life. And this way of teaching is much more important and much more successful than if you teach. When you show an example, it's, as we say, very catchy. You come to two streets meeting, intersection. I don't know, be able to tell when English is coming. You come to an intersection, and the car's coming, and you'll stop, and you'll let the car go through. What's going to happen? He's going to come to the next corner. He's going to let another car go through. It's catching. It's contagious. When you show an example of how you're supposed to live, everybody catches on. And it changes the whole society. It changes the whole way of living. We show an example of how you go to speak to another person by their sorry. You go up to, hey, you want a friend? You go up to nicely and say, how are you? Family and so on. You know, maybe want to do me a favor. Different way of talking, different way of living. Questions? Essentially answer questions. Essentially answer questions, but nobody's answering any questions.
You're not a person who tell you to go to Italy. You're not a person who tell you to go to Italy.
That person we want
Tell you to go to Italy on business.
how to learn
To go to Italy.
There was a time that sent all the first with one shoes. Then came our mother's Jewish mother, Yiddish mother, we heard of her. They came to whatever. And yesterday, where did you send them? There's no Halacha. There's no this, there's no that. How could you say that? There's no way to. Then I decided, right before we stand up, he decided he's not going to get all this this feedback. And whoever wants to go on shlichus, okay. I was a little bit busy in New York. I had Gan Yisrael. I was the principal of Holy Torah. I was working my skills. So, but when we got married, my wife and myself decided we're ready to go on shlichus. We're on to whatever. After we got married, we're ready to go on shlichus. I don't know how it was, but they never mentioned two names. When the Rebbe came to the Rebbe to ask to meet somebody for a teacher, they mentioned two names. The first name they went to was I was busy. Come to me to get me out of all this. Something which wasn't understandable. So he went to the other person, and the person said he has to go speak to his wife. Came back. In the meantime, I was asked, and I said yes. But I wrote a letter to the early letter to the early letter to the 12 points. We want to go on shlichus, but because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this, 12 beautiful points. I'm sure everyone would say, all right, there was an answer. If I don't have any difficulties with the language, the answer.
I just didn't have a last conversation. What was it? There were 12 points, and
I put down the reason that I'm busy.
You don't think you were fit,
I have
yeah.
all these different responsibilities.
Right.
Should have answered if I don't have any koshim the safa, she used to have a tzlacha. If I don't have any difficulties with the language, we should go. I understood very clearly that came from him. My mother did not have any influence.
Make a bracha for once we are waiting and Rabbi Lazar.